Yes, thank you for the clicker. I say thank you, it's like sort of receiving a poison chalice or something. I say I approach you with respect and fear, and if you let me down, I will throw you to the back of the room. All the speakers should probably get up at the end, and we should ceremonially destroy it. So, anyway. So, I'm Tim Richards from DigitalMe, not Despicable Me. As someone from Finland misread my card the other day, which caused a lot of amusement. DigitalMe, we're a non-profit based in the north of England, or as you guys in the States like to say, London. And I'm glad you got that. I wasn't sure whether that was going to go down or not. And I'm going to talk to you about two things today. I'm going to talk to you about Badge the UK. Yay. Okay, there's two strands to the Badge the UK project. One is building upon the DML project, which is made possible from the funding from MacArthur and you guys. So that was really creating a platform, an open platform that teachers could come and create, issue, display badges for 11 through to 18. So there's the platform side of it. And then I want to talk about the wider ecosystem as well, because the good news is that there's great stuff happening here, and there's even better stuff happening in England and across the international badge ecosystem. I mean, it's just crazy that every single day we hear about another fantastic project, you know, and we're going to be talking later on in the day about some ideas about how we can surface all the amazing work that's going around around the world. But the key thing for me is around both of the strands of the project is this idea of creating a new learning currency. And this is a language that we're using a lot at the moment. It's, you know, we talked about sticker charts today. We don't want badges to become glorified sticker charts. And I'm sure they won't be. We need a real currency so that we recognise that sort of holistic set of learning. That's great. But kids need to be able to do something with that. And this whole theme of connected learning, I think, is just so powerful, getting the right partners on board so that the right learning gets recognised, but then that actually means something in terms of work experience, getting a job, connecting to people who've got shared interests, etc., etc. So currency, to me, is really key. So just back to Despicable Me for a minute. If I were Gru, and I was to identify my arch enemy, my nemesis, I would say it would be the testing system. And this is an average high school student in the UK taking their SAT. So I don't know, do you have these devices in the US? But it may as well be. It may as well be, because we start off with children, and the possibilities are endless, aren't they, in kindergarten, and then gradually we whittle that away, and then it comes to a pass or a fail based on a certificate. And I think that's a real tragedy on a number of different levels, which have been covered by the speakers already, really. So I'm going to move on, hopefully. So we came up with this idea, having been inspired by DML, to go back and badge the UK. And rather unreasonably, I thought, our funders said, you need to do some research about this and actually ask some people, is this what people want? So we did. And this is what we found. First of all, we found an overwhelming desire for change. So teachers are succeeding in spite of the curriculum rather than because of it. I don't know if you find that over here as well. I mean, I've never met an evil teacher who goes into teaching, to stop learning. Teachers generally are good people, aren't they? I think they are. I think they are. We skipped ahead a bit. When we talked to employers said, well, we're not getting the right skills that we need. There was interesting, did anyone read Reddit? Okay, so no two people too embarrassed to put their hand up. I was watching a Reddit theme the other day. It was the AMA, Ask Me Anything, for those of you that don't know Reddit, on Google reliability. Did anyone follow that one? It was just brilliant, because they kicked this thing off and then the internet went down. And there's all the the very helpful Redditors saying, plug it back in, or just turn it off and back on again, it'll be fine. But someone asked a question which was right down the thread. You know, I probably shouldn't have been reading this in the working day, but anyway, I got down to the bottom, and it said, what is the one thing, the one skill that you look for within your team member under situations like this? And he said, is it a language? And the guy replied and he said, it's not X, Y, or Z language, so we can teach them any kind of knowledge. What it is a curiosity to find and solve problems. And it just really struck me, and I thought, well, actually, you know, how much of our education system is about helping people develop those skills of curiosity, of resilience, of resourcefulness, all of those kind of skills. So, interesting. Back to the research. This is the quote. Oh, God, this clicker. This is the quote that really came home to me, and this is from a young lad, and it's in the video research that we put online. It says that badges give me a chance as a young person to tell the teacher what I'm good at. And again, what kind of education system have we got where kids don't feel like they've got a chance to tell us what they're good at? So, yeah. The second thing was, if we're going to have something new, we need credibility. Young people said they wanted credibility because they're starting to think about jobs when they get to be 15, 16. There's lots of competition for their time in terms of exams, etc. So it's got to be connected. It's got to be connected to employers, to universities, and the wider ecosystem. So that was a key point. This was really interesting. I thought people don't want top-down models anymore. They don't want us to go away and design a load of badges for them. And we've run dozens of events over the last year with the badge design canvas, which we'll be showing tomorrow. It's just a piece of paper that helps you co-design badges. People love getting creative. They want to get hands-on. They want to be part of creating this thing. And that's what's really unique to me about open badges. This is a grassroots movement. There's part of me that doesn't want government support in it, actually, because we're growing it, and we certainly don't want it to be tied to any particular government or initiative, because we know that they come and go. They wanted simple tools as well. But I also found this, which I thought was fascinating, is that everyone had that sense of feeling that it's almost insurmountable what we're trying to do. You know, Graham Martin Brown talks about educational superstructures, universities, schools, governments, parents. You know, how do you move this whole ecosystem on? You know, as not-for-profits and social enterprises, we get out of bed every day and we see change happening, but how do we make change happen on a massive scale? And this is where Mozilla, for me, comes in. Not just the technology, which underpins all of this with the open badges, but with the approach to working together on this problem. And I've got a very short video. I could explain the Mozilla approach, but I've got a tiny video. It's literally a minute long, which I think sums up the Mozilla approach. That's great. It's an advert for a union from the 80s. I'm just going to very quickly just whiz through some examples of badges in action in the UK. You can talk to me about this later. But so the first thing, in schools, so this is kind of localized value that's being created in schools. We extended the Makeways platform, worked in partnership with those guys to make those tools open to all schools, following on from the DML competition. So we've got sort of simple mission builders now that teachers can create and start issuing badges. And they go into something called a badge library. So now we've got a place, a really simple set of tools as well, where teachers can just create, publish, and start issuing those badges straight away. Now, we're not telling people what badges to put in there. What's interesting is there is a mix of there's some things that I'm sure you guys wouldn't like to see in there. Interesting. So there's merit-based systems. They're kind of sticker chart systems, I have to say, but there's a lot of really good stuff in there. So the UFA are doing a program on recognizing peer mentoring skills. There's stuff on space exploration. There's actually, I don't know if you've noticed that teachers have very little respect for IP, there's one in the centre here for Code Club. So this Code Club is a national kind of initiative, and the teachers went, oh, well, we'll just invent Code Club badges. They don't exist, do they? So yeah, lots of brands sort of appearing there. Not sure there's been the permission for that, but anyway. This is where we are at the moment in terms of the school values. This is localised value to schools, around about 50,000 badges awarded across 1,000 schools. It's only really just been launched over the past few weeks, so that's going to be interesting to see how that develops. The next piece for us is employer-endorsed badges, because we want to use that. Sort of route into schools, and the way I see it is kind of hacking the education system. How can we find the gaps in the education system and then get good stuff in there, a good virus in, if that works. So we launched a series of employer-led badges, including some Mozilla badges which already exist, things like the thimble and the X-ray goggles stuff. If you haven't checked that stuff out already, it's just absolutely awesome. Kids love it. And we also work with some small charities who develop these kind of DIY boxes where you make your own game machine. You actually solder it together. They wouldn't let us bring soldering irons into the exhibition hall, unfortunately. But hey, there we go. So, so this is one of the first employer-led badges. This is my daughter. Managed to get some of the family in there as well. What she's done is she's created an animation on paper there. She's then gone through the laptop, connected through to an Arduino, transferred the animation on to this piece of hardware that they've just put together, and she was just absolutely enthralled by the experience. And then we get her to then teach the teachers how to do it. And that's what we did for this day at BET, to kind of switch the whole thing on its head, and also just explain to the teachers that this makes their job easier because it helps them deliver the new computing curriculum. We were at a launch for a gaming thing at the Zynga thing last night, and one of the ladies was saying, actually, when you're in education, you actually are developing for several different customers. You've got the child, you've got the teacher, you've got the parent as well, and the child often gets forgotten, I think. But I think badges is somewhere where we can put the child back at the centre. These were the badges that they got for teaching teachers. So, for those of you who are running and developing platforms, it's interesting the effect. There's just one slide for the platform people, really. It's interesting the effect that badges have on a platform. It leads to lots more engagement. It's very, very sticky indeed. So, in terms of the other partners, I mean, there's so many projects I could tell you about, and I'm probably over time already. So, but there's over 100 partners in the UK now, and they range from big brands like Telefonica and O2, governments, the SQA, Scottish Qualifications Authority, through to small charities. But I'm just going to highlight just a couple more. One organisation which Mozilla are working with, and we've been working with recently, is Telefonica. Is that a brand that you know in the US? Is it a familiar brand? Or yeah, really interesting organisation. You know, some organisations do CSR, don't they? And they kind of tick the box. They sign the check and give you the logo. These guys are really, really different. They've developed their own curriculum which reflects the skills and competencies that they want their own staff to develop. And then what they've done is started to develop a whole series of badges, some of which are targeted at primary school children, so elementary age school children, some at secondary, and some to employees. Actually, they're all the same badges. They look slightly different, but they map to that central curriculum. And they also have the HR department involved as well. So this is a really fascinating project, because essentially you've got a kind of all-through system. And it's not boring stuff either. One of the curriculum elements is around running a good project, being a good team member, solving problems, being resilient, all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's a fantastic example, and it's going to be really good to see that develop over the next year or so. Made in Sheffield is one of my favourites. Sheffield is another northern city, about 500,000 people. Sheffield, I don't know if you know, but they're famous for making knives and forks. It's where the steel industry was in the UK. And there's something called the Cutlers. It's like sort of masons for knives and forks. That was founded in 1624. Now, they want to get in on badges. And they've developed a passport to employment. And this is a big deal, actually. It involves work experience, companies committing to work experience, it involves the school committing to embed work-related skills into the curriculum. But essentially, at the moment, it's a paper-based passport, and you get your stamps for doing these different things. And then, once you get to the end of that process, and here's the really great thing, here's the real value proposition, if you finish your passport, when you go to apply for a job to one of the companies who's in the company, the worshipful company of Cutlers, you get a guarantee of an interview. Amazing, you know, kind of an end-to-end value proposition, which actually, you know, is developed with the city locally. And we'd like to do some kind of city of learning project with Sheffield at some point. There's also great work going on in Scotland with OBSEG. They've got CPD projects going on, prior learning projects going on, and it goes on and on. I'm going to flick through these and just close. At MozFest this year, we thought it'd be really interesting to map all of the different activities from around the world and just get people to pledge onto their map, because people come from all over the world to MozFest. And 1 million badges were pledged from people around the world. And I think it's just good to remind ourselves that this movement isn't just something that's based in the US, it's not something that's just based in the UK. Sunny and I were on a call to someone from France yesterday, the week before, it's Australia, it's happening globally. So Erin, myself and others are just starting to look at ways in which we can surface all of this activity globally and coordinate that a bit more as well. So just in summary, I would say I personally am really excited to be involved in the Open Badges movement. Working in a non-profit, working in education, I think anyone is excited to be in education. But what's different about it for me is that it feels now we've got something that connects all of our work together. Something that you can talk to a corporate about, you can talk to a small non-profit about, you can talk to a school about. And I think working together, we really do have the potential to have a major step change, a major impact on the education system. So I think let's do it.